Bugungi darsimizda kemiruvchi 12-kitobimizning test 6 and passage 3 analizini ko'rib chiqamiz. Birinchi navbatda tekstni title'ga qaragan holda bizdan qanaqa mavzuni tushunish talab qilinayotganligini tushunishimiz kerak. Xo'p, bu qismda o'zingiz ko'rganingiz the benefits of being bilingual, demak bu qismda bilingual, ya'ni ikki tilda gaplashishning foydali tomonlari, demak bu qismda language, lingvistika va ko'pincha psixologiya, neuroscience'ga bog'liqroq bo'lsa kerak, not yet. Xo'p, undan keyin esa birinchi navbatda bu qismda savollarni, turlarini ko'rib chiqqan holda bizdan qanaqa skilllarni ishlatish talab qilinayotganligini ham tushunishga harakat qilishimiz kerak. Bu qismda o'zingiz ko'rganingizdek no more than 2 words, ikkitadan ko'p so'z ishlata olmaymiz. Bu qismda bu bizda test and findings, summary completion, table completion. Undan keyin yasonayotgan savollari bor, 36-gacha. Bundan keyin esa bizda hozir ko'ra olamiz. Which paragraph contains the following information? Which paragraph contains the following information degani bu matching information degani. Xo'p, which paragraph contains the following information? Xo'p, matching informationni ko'rishga harakat qilamiz. Matching information istalgan joyda kelishi mumkin. Shuning uchun ham tekstni o'qishga katta ehtimol bilan testni o'qishga majbur bo'lamiz va bu qismda esa bu lekin istalgan qismda kelmaydi. Bir asosan follow logical chain bilan follow qiladi. Shuning uchun ham birinchi navbatda keling buni passage birinchi marotaba faqatgina savollarni o'qigan holda keyin javoblarni topishga harakat qilib ko'raylik. Agar bizlarga bu foydali bo'ladigan bo'lsa, keyinchalik ham bu formulani, bu strategiyani davom ettirishga qo'llashga harakat qilamiz. Bu qismda observing the something of Russian English bilingual people when asked to select certain objects. Bu qismda Russian English bilingual people, bu qismda keyword Russian and English bilingual people asked to pick up select certain objects. Pick up a marker of a set of objects would look at a stamp than someone who doesn't know Russian. Hop. O'qismda nimaga qaragan? Observing the what? The of what? Eye movements. The keyword mana. Some of the most compelling evidence of this phenomenon called language coactivation comes from studying eye movements of Russian English bilinguals who, when asked to select certain objects and some stamp, maybe simply observing the eye movements. Demak, o'qishda keywordga e'tibor berishingiz kerak. Eye movement emas, eye emas, movement emas. Bu eye movement plural. Agar eye movements deb yozmasangiz yoki eye movement yozib qo'yadigan bo'lsangiz, bu xato bo'ladi. Shunga e'tibor bering. Eye movements. Hammasini to'g'ri bir xil ravishda kopiya qilish kerak. Hech narsani o'zgartirmay nima qilasiz? Boshqaroq qilib o'zingizga ko'pchilik o'quvchilar yozib qo'yadi. Ay movement yozib qo'yishadi, movement yozib qo'yishadi. To'liq ko'chiring, to'liq. Biror narsani o'zgartirmasdan to'liq ko'chirish kerak. Keyingisiga o'tamiz. The test called the something focusing on naming colors. Demak, naming colors keyword, test keyword. Naming colors. Hop, here. Naming colors, color and the word match. Hop. As a result, condition, for example, so can increase the when you not quite bring a word to mind. As a result, constant juggling of two languages creates a need to control how much a person accesses the language at any given time. Bilingual people often perform better on tasks that require conflict management. In classic Stroop task, people send a word and ask to name the color of the word in front. Demak, Stroop task degan test ekan bu. Stroop task bo'ldi. Stroop task yozib qo'yamiz. Stroop task degan stress management qiladigan conflict managementdagi task bu. Stroop task. People send a word and see a word and ask the name of the color. Doesn't matter. That's it. A test involving switching between tasks. Demak, endi bu qismda effektlarni ko'rib chiqamiz. Bilingual people engage both languages simultaneously. A mechanism known as simultaneously a mechanism known as to engage like language coactivation occurs because what the listeners hear can map onto two words in either language. Language coactivation bo'lishi kerak menimcha. Xo'p, language coactivation here. Some of the most compelling evidence of this phenomenon called language coactivations comes from studying eye movement. For bilingual people, this activation is not limited to a single language. Auditory input activates the corresponding words regardless of the language of the which belong to. Some of the comments halfway. In cases of like this, language coactivation occurs because what the listeners hear could map onto words in either languages. Ikkita tilda ham xohlagan tilda bo'lishi mumkin. Simultaneously degan javobni hali ko'rmadik. The research shows that when a bilingual person uses one language, the other is active at the same time. Bu qismi simultaneously degan ma'noni anglatadi va bu it's called language coactivation. Call it language coactivation. Demak, javob language coactivation bo'ladi. Lekin men buni qanaqa topdim? Coactivation. Men buni keywordlarga qarab topdim. Masalan, known as, called'ga qaradim, bu atrofga qaradim, boshga qaradim, oxiriga qaradim. Masalan, agar siz experience odam bo'lgani uchun men topishga muvaffaq bo'ldim. Lekin inexperienced odam bo'lsangiz, masalan, finding I move'dan keyin tasdan keyin bo'lish kerak deysiz, topolmaysiz, qiynalasiz. Shuning uchun ham summary completion degan bu qismlarda, summary completion bo'ladigan qismlarda butun paragrafni o'qib olish, butun paragraf ma'nosini tushunish, o'shani anglab yetish katta ahamiyatga ega bo'ladi. Masalan, simultaneously bu qismda paragraf B ni boshida birinchi gapda berilgan, birinchi gapda ikkinchi gaplarda tushuntirib ketishgan gipotezani keyinchalik o'sha eksperiment bilan backup qilishgan, support qilishgan, lekin o'sha eksperiment bilan support qilingan joyda o'sha ma'lumot yo'q. Masalan, u oldingi qismni topish kerak, oldingi qismni o'qishga hech kimni intuitivni harakat qilmaydi-da. O'sha uchun ham bunda o'sha bu qismda yuqoriroq natijaga erishish uchun, ko'proq muvaffaqiyatga erishish uchun butun paragrafni o'qigan yaxshiroq hisoblanadi. Bilingual people are more able to handle tasks involving a skill called topdim men buni. Conflict management dedi. Mana bu qismda bor. Xo'p, mana yozilgan. As a result of constant juggling of two languages creates a need to control how much a person accesses a language at any given time. For this reason, bilingual people often perform better on tasks. Are more able, perform better, handle tasks that require conflict management. Conflict management. Conflict management bo'ladi. When challenging strategies, bilingual people have superior strategiyalarni o'zgarib o'tirayotganda, bilingual people have superior, better something. Bilingual people yoshroq narsa bo'lar ekan. Mana bilingual people are also better at switching between two tasks. For example, when bilinguals have to switch from categorizing objects by color. Wow. Mana qilamiz. Then by shape, monolingual people are reflecting better changes of strategy. Hop. Superior what? Hop, nima superior what? Superior what? Javob qolib ketgan bu qismda. Aniq qolib ketdi. Because word itself, bilingual people often excel at tasks such as this, which tap the ability to ignore competing conceptual information, focus on relevant aspects of the input. Demak, bu qismda superior ability. Better. Often excel at tasks such as this, mana tasks, changing strategies, ability to ignore, superior ability, ignore competing person, better at this ability. For example, one building have to switch from return the shape. They don't do some more quickly. Speed. Super close. Here. Categorizing them by shape, they do so more quickly than monolingual people, reflecting better, superior, better cognitive control. Cognitive control job bo'ladi. Yaxshiroq cognitive control bor ekan. Wow. Interesting. Cognitive control job bo'ladi. Bu qismda keyingisiga o'tib ketamiz. Xo'p, bu qism tugadi, summary completion tugadi. Yes or no degan savollarga o'tamiz. Attitudes toward bilingualism have changed in recent years. Attitudes. Qayerdan topamiz attitudes endi? Bilingual people are better than monolingual people at guessing correctly what words are before they are finished. Bilingual people consistently name images faster than monolingual people. People's brain processes single sound more efficiently than monolingual people. Fewer bilingual people have monolingual people suffer from brain disease. Interesting, brain disease. Attitude. Where the hell is attitude now? Attitude. Topamiz. Over the past few decades, however, technological advances have allowed research to look at more deeply Yo'q. Good latest figures, a majority of the world's population is now bilingual or multilingual. Having grown up speaking 2 or more languages in the past, such children were considered to be at a disadvantage compared to their monolingual peers. Over the past, however, technology advances have allowed researchers to more clearly change and cognitive balance, thereby identify several clear benefits of being bilingual. Demak, shunda oldin disadvantage bo'lingan, hozir benefit deb bo'linadi. Demak, bu qismda javobimiz yes bo'ladi. To'g'ri, chunki attitude change, munosabat o'zgardi, qanaqa munosabat o'zgardi? Oldin yomon, bo'lmag'ur, bo'lmaydigan, foydasidan zarari ko'p narsa deb o'ylashgan, hozir foydasi ko'p deb o'ylashadi. O'sha uchun ham yes deb olamiz bu javobni. Attitudes changed. Bu qismda masalan were considered to be a disadvantage, identifying several clear benefits. Demak, bu qismda ana shu keyword bo'ladi ikkitasi. Better at guessing correctly what the word yes. Topaylikchi. When we hear a word, we don't hear the entire word at all once. The sounds arrive in sequential order so long before the word is finished. The brain's language system begins to guess what the word might be. If you hear can, we will likely activate the words candy, candle as well, at least during the earlier stage of word recognition. For bilingual people, this activation is not limited to a single language. Auditory input activates the corresponding words regardless of the language they belong to. Ikki xil demak bilingual people da faqatgina bitta language emas, masalan aytishdi, masalan bitta so'zni aytganimizda so'z tugashidan oldin guess qilish boshlandi, miya taxmin qilish boshlaydi, nima so'zni aytyapti bu, chunki soundlar, ovozlar tartibda keladi. Tartibda masalan can bo'lib kelaveradi, o'shanda candle, candy so'zlarni miyasidan o'tishi mumkin. Bilingual people unaqa emas. Bilingual people ikkita tildan ham bemalol so'z chiqaraveradi miya degan. Xo'p, ultimate single language corresponding regardless of the language that belong to sound. Setting eye movement, because there are words for stem marker sounds like an English word for here, share marker. In this case, language occurs because Xo'p, demak qismda ma'lumot bor, guessing haqida ma'lumot bor, lekin faster, slower degan narsa yo'qligi sababli, better degan narsa, better, worse degan narsa yo'qligi sababli not given olamiz. Faqatgina bilingual qo'yildi. Oldin mana better degan joy yo'qda, masalan better yaxshiroq degan joy yo'q, than monolingual people degan javob yo'q, chunki u berilgan qismda faqatgina bizda bilingual people da ikkita tildan ham qidirishni boshlaydi degan javob bor. Bo'ldi. Better, worse degan javob yo'q. Consistently name images faster than monolingual people. Demak, imagelarni faster name qilar ekan. Xo'p, topamiz maqsadda bosar ekan. More than one language can cause speakers to name pictures more slowly. An increased tip of the tongue states when you can almost but not quite bring a word. Bold topic. Having to deal with this persistent linguistic competition can result in difficulties. However, for instance, knowing more than one language can result in speakers to name pictures more slowly. Demak, shunda agar bittadan ko'p til bilsangiz, o'sha rasmlarni slowly, sekinroq identify qilar ekan. Shuning uchun ham bu qismda no qilib olamiz, chunki bilingual people'larni, o'sha bilingual odamlarni tezroq aytishadi deb yozib qo'yishibdi, lekin bilingual people'lar tezroq aytmaydi, sekinroq aytishar ekan. C paragrafga qaraganda. I'm tired. Charchadim. Ozgina dam olaman. Bilingual people's brain processes single sounds more efficiently than monolingual people in all situations. Single soundlarni, yakka tovushlarni tezroq monolingual people'larga qaraganda tezroq proses qilar ekan. O'zingiz ko'rganingizdek, bitta qismni aytib ketishim kerak. Bu qismda eng muhim qism. Xo'p, nima bo'lyapti bu yerda? O'zingiz ko'rganingizdek, masalan, feeling summary-ga ham qaytadan o'qib chiqdim, yes note-ga ham noldan qaytadan o'qib chiqyapman. Mana bu matching information kelganda, masalan, matching information qaraylik, masalan, qiziq menga shu narsa. Matching information kelganda katta ehtimol bilan qaytadan o'qishga majbur bo'laman. O'sha uchun ham passage 2, passage 3 ga kelganda iltimos erinchoqlik qilmanglar. Tinchgina hamma narsani birdaniga o'qib, keyin savollarga javob berishga harakat qilinglar. Keywordlarga alohida e'tibor berib ketinglar. Masalan, paragraf A da birdan o'qiganingizda, paragraf A da chiqqan javoblarga birdaniga javob berib ketasiz. Paragraf B da chiqqan javoblarga, savollarga birdaniga javob berib ketasiz. Agar keywordlarga e'tiborli bo'lgan bo'lsangiz, boshqa savol turlari bilan. Masalan, hozir men vaqtimni bekorga ketkazdim-da, shuncha narsani qaytadan o'qib, qayta ko'rib. O'shaning uchun ham bu qismni e'tibordan chetda qoldirmanglar. Agar hozir charchadim, juda ham charchadim. Keyword kommentlarda qoldiradigan bo'lsanglar, men bu nima demoqchi bo'lganimni yaxshi artikulatsiya qilib tushuntirib bera olmadim. Nima demoqchi bo'lganimni tushuntirishga harakat qilaman boshqa videoda. Example of how bilingual monolingual people's brains respond differently to certain types of non-verbal auditory input. Non-verbal auditory input haqida umuman ma'lumot yo'q. Demak, yaxshi, omadimiz keldi. Non-verbal haqida hali umuman o'qiganimiz yo'q. Demak, yangi endi o'qiydigan qismimizda topamiz buni. Sounds. Tired. O'qiymiz. Xush kerak. It also seems that neurological roots of bilingual advantage extend to brain areas more traditionally associated with sensory processing. When monolingual and bilingual adolescents listen to simple speech sounds without any intervening background noise, they show highly similar brain stem processes. When researchers place the same sound to both groups with the presence of background noise, however, bilingual listeners' neural response is considerably larger, reflecting better encoding on the sound's fundamental frequency feature of sound closely related to pitch perfection. Demoqchini o'z ko'rganingizek, sensory processing ga masalan background noise eshitsa ikkalasi bir xil eshitadi, lekin background noise bilan eshitsa bilingual people ko'proq eshitar ekan. Ko'rganingizek. Such improvements in cognitive and sensory processing may help a bilingual person to process information in the environment and help explain why bilingual adults acquire third language better than monolingual adults master a second language. This advantage may be rooted in the skill of focusing on information about the new language while reducing interference from the language they already know. Oh, okay, awesome. Hop. Lekin bu single sound haqida ma'lumot topmadim mana. Pure bilingual have monolingual people suffering from disease brain disease haqida ma'lumot topmadim. O'sha uchun ham F ham o'qishimiz kerak. F, G. Birdaniga o'qib ketaylik undan ko'ra. Hammasini. I'm tired. Yaxshi video bo'lmaydi o'zi bu. Nima bo'lsa bo'lar, boshga tushganni ko'z ko'radi, whatever it is. Ko'raylik nima bo'lar ekan. Research also indicates that bilingual experience may help to keep the cognitive mechanism sharp by recruiting alternative brain networks to compensate for those that became damaged during aging. Wow! Older bilinguals enjoy improved memory relative to monolingual people, which can lead to real-world health benefits. In a study of over 200 patients with Alzheimer's disease, a degenerative brain disease, bilingual patients reported showing initial symptoms of the disease an average of 5 years later than monolingual patients. In a follow-up study, one researchers compared the brains of bilingual monolingual patients, matched the severity of Alzheimer's symptoms. The bilingual brain had more physical signs of disease than their monolingual counterpart, even though their outward behavior and abilities were the same. Oh, interesting. Bilingualda ko'proq physical sign of disease ko'rsatgan, lekin ularning behaviorlari, abilitylari bir xil qolgan. Wow. If the brain is an engine, bilinguals may help it to go faster at the same amount of fuel. Wow. Furthermore, the benefits associated with bilingual experience seem to start very early. In one study, researchers taught 7-month-old babies growing up in bilingual homes and that when they heard a tickling sound, puppet appeared on the side of the screen. Halfway through the study, puppet began appearing on the opposite side of the screen. In order to get a reward, the infants had to adjust the rule they had learned. Only the bilingual babies were able to successfully learn the new rule. This suggests that for very young children, as well as for older people, navigating a multilingual environment imparts advantage that transfer far beyond language. Awesome. Tushundim hamma narsani. Lekin tushuntirishga holim qolmadi. O'rtoqlar, I'm sorry guys, to'g'risi. Tushuntirishga holim qolmadi. Faqatgina javoblarni topib ketaman. Javoblarni topganimga keywordlarni qayerdan topdim, nimaga topdim, qanaqasiga ulgurdim, tushuntirishga harakat qilaman, lekin bunaqa detalniy analiz bo'lmaydi. Xafa bo'lmaysizlar. I'm sorry. I'm too tired. Juda charchadim. Single sound more efficient haqida ma'lumot topaman, to'g'risi. Ma'lumot yo'q. Single sound haqida ma'lumot yo'q, shuning uchun ham notga olaman. Qidirib o'tirmayman. Fewer bilingual people than monolingual people suffer from brain disease. Showing initial symptoms 5 years later, the researchers compared the brains of surprising but more physical signs of damage. Yes, deb olaylik hozircha. Chunki uncha detalga kirib ketmas kerak. After fikri bo'yicha bilingual bo'lish masalan o'sha sizni muammolardan saqlab qoladi. Agar fizik muammongiz bo'lsa ham, lekin u kurs o'zizga bilinmaydi degan ma'lumot berilgan ekan. Bo'ldi, shu uchun ham to'xtadim. Example of how bilingual brain respond differently to certain type of non-verbal auditory input. input. Bu nima haqida bo'ladi? Mana non-verbal outer input bo'lsa D bo'ladi bu. Non-verbal auditory input. Verbal bo'lmagan auditory input. Bu verbal speech ku. Non-verbal tickling sound. Menimcha G bo'lar ekan menimcha. Taxminan G. Bilmayman, to'g'risi. Charchadim. Boshqa qilmayman unaqa, boshim ortda o'tirmayman. Demonstration of how a bilingual upbringing has benefits over even before we learn to speak. Where is it? Even before we learn to speak. G-da yana bu. Yana G bo'lar ekan. Demak, u yerda aniq xato. Uni javobini topaman hozir. Description of the process by which people identify words that they hear. Identify words that they hear. Reference to some negative consequence of being negative consequence. Where is negative? Difficulties here. C. Xo'p, bitta javobimiz ana bo'lib qoldi. Bilmaydigan bo'lib qoldik. Demonstration before we learn to speak 100% yo'da shu qismda 37 ni menimcha shu D qo'raman. That's it. D qo'raman. That's it guys, that's it. I'm tired, I'm sorry. Shu bilan bugungi darsimiz o'z oxiriga yetadi. Agar muammolar bo'lgan bo'lsa, uzr so'rayman. Kommentarda qoldiringlar. Siz bilan keyingi videolarda ko'rishguncha xayr.